All right, what's up, boys? I'm back today with another tier list. The best chins in the UFC. We got the Giga Chad chin. You already know the best chin in the UFC. Amazing chin, good chin, meh chin, and chinny. That's what I want to talk about today, guys. Who's taking some big shots to the dome and not going down? Let's get right into it. Starting off with my homie. We'll go with Tom Aspinall. I'm putting Tom Aspinall on the amazing chin. Listen, Tom Aspinall, heavyweight. He's been clipped a couple times at heavyweight, and he's held up, but I can't put him in Giga Chad chin yet because it hasn't really been tested enough to know if he has a Giga Chad chin. You know what I'm saying? He hasn't taken enough bombs. I know he puts his chin straight up in the air to get caught, but Tom Aspinall, got to put him in that amazing chin tier. He's fought some pretty heavy punchers, but he just hasn't been clipped heavy enough to know if he got that Giga Chad. So amazing chin from my boy Tom Aspinall. Let's move on to another one. We got Alex Pereira. I'm putting in good chin. Listen, Alex Pereira, he's been dropped by Khalil Roundtree. He's been chinned by Adesanya. He has an okay chin, but I suspect if this guy gets hit clean more, man, he might go out cold. Either way, he has a good chin for now until we see it get tested more. Maybe Ankalaev could send him to the Shadow Realm, or maybe he could send Ankalaev to the Shadow Realm. Who knows? But I got him in the good chin for now, boys. Next up, we got Pipsqueak McGeek. Sean O'Malley in the med chin. Listen, after seeing Cheeto crack this guy's chin and then knock him out with like 1 or 2 shots on the ground, it really made me suspect of Sean O'Malley's chin. I know he's took some decent shots off of Petr Yan, but I gotta say Sean's in the med chin because I feel like I could crack this guy with a couple good shots and he'd go out cold. Either way, Sean Pipsqueak O'Malley in the med chin tier for sure. Let's move on to another chin. We got Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland in the good chin tier. He's been chinned by Pereira, and I feel like Sean Strickland, the reason his chin seems so amazing is because you can't hit this guy clean because he has such clean defense. But Alex Pereira showed that you can crack that chin. So Sean Strickland, I wouldn't say he has an amazing chin. He has a good chin. His chin's been cracked before. He's been TKO'd earlier in his career. I forgot by who, but good chin for my boy Sean Strickland. Either way, let's move on to Mr. Izzy. Izzy's going in meh chin. I don't know, man. Something about Bosh. Nobody said anything about dogs, bro. Israel Adesanya, he got that dog in him, literally. The dog chin. Put him in mad chin. You know, he's been knocked down by Sean Strickland and TKO by Pereira, which I know, but dude, I cannot put this guy in good or amazing chin if you get knocked down by Sean Strickland. I don't care if it was a clean shot. It's Sean Strickland with his little pitter-pat punches. So Israel Adesanya is 100% going in the med chin tier. Let's move on to another one. We got Charles Oliveira going straight into chinny. Listen, I love Charles Oliveira, one of my favorite fighters, but if this guy get hits by Augusta win, he's going down. He's chinny, he has great recovery, and he can submit you if you follow him to the ground, but let's not pretend like this guy's taking some big bombs without going to the ground. I think he got knocked down by Chandler, Poirier, and Gaethje at one point and came back to finish all 3 of those guys, so respect to him. The recovery is insane, but he is absolutely chinny, boys. Let's move on to another one on this list. We got Islam Makhachev. I'm putting in the good chin tier. Listen, Islam's has a good chin, but he was dropped by Volkanovski. He was KO'd by Adriano Martins back in the day. I think Dustin Poirier clipped him with some good shots. So Islam, he has a good chin. I wouldn't say amazing, definitely not Giga Chad, but good chin for sure for my boy. Brother, we need to check this guy, brother. Who give this guy black belt, brother? Either way, let's move on to another one. We got Alessandro Pantoja. Amazing chin. He's only been dropped once in his career by Davis and Figueiredo. This guy walks forward in the flyweight division with reckless abandonment, with no fear of being KO'd. Absolute amazing chin. Close to Giga Chad. If he wouldn't have got dropped by Davis and Figueiredo, I might have to say he has Giga Chad chin, but it's also tough to put flyweights in Giga Chad just because they're so small. Not a lot of people are going to have one-punch knockout power to threaten your chin. So either way, the zombie Alessandro Pantoja, I know his nickname is actually the Cannibal, but he's an amazing chin. Let's move on to another one, boys. We got Dustin Poirier. He's going right in there in chinny. Listen, I love Dustin Poirier. He's from my hometown, but there's no doubt that my boy Dustin's a little chinny. He was chinned by Michael Johnson back in the day. He was chinned by Justin Gaethje. He was chinned by Conor McGregor. He's been dropped a bunch of times in his career. He's been, he's been folded up by like a lawn chair by a couple times. I don't know. Dustin Poirier, Dustin P-Head Poirier, one of my homies. I love Dustin Poirier, one of my favorite fighters. Lengthy UFC career, has been in the top 5 forever, but no doubt he's a little chinny. Love you, DP. Let's move on to the next one. We got Bilal Muhammad. I'm putting Bilal Muhammad in the good chins here. Listen, Bilal Muhammad's been chinned back in the day by Jeff Neal. He's been cracked a couple times in his career. I don't know, man. Something about Bilal. He just looks like you could hit him on the freaking point of that freaking chin and knock him out. But I'm not sure. He has been knocked out before. I'm not going to put him in amazing chin because I don't see an amazing chin on Bilal. He's got a good chin, guys. He got a good chin. Amazing is a stretch. Anything to do with Bilal, you calling amazing is a stretch. Let me just say that. Either way, I'm a Bilal hater if you haven't noticed. Putting him in the good chins here. Let's move on to another one. We got Dricus du Plessis. I'm also going to put in good chin. Listen, Dricus has a good chin. I don't think he's been knocked down in the UFC yet, but he has been KO'd by Roberto Saldich, and I just feel like his Looney Tunes style is eventually going to catch up to him, and I feel like if you crack that chin good, he might go down. I don't know. It feels like Dricus hasn't been hit by a clean shot yet to test that chin in the UFC, but that just is credit to his defense and his Looney Tunes style working for him up in the highest level of the weight class, so up to champion. So yeah, he's in good chin for sure. Next up, we got Magomed Ankalaev. I'm putting him in amazing chin. Listen, this guy is 20-1 in light heavyweight, and whenever you're fighting light heavyweights and he's only been knocked down once by who was it? It was Thiago Santos who knocked him down one time. Outside of that, dude, this dude has not been knocked down. Magomed Ankalaev fighting big giants, never been chinned, only been knocked down once. Got to put him in amazing chin. Whenever you're fighting guys that big and you're able to avoid the power shots for that long and only get knocked down once, says something about your chinny chin. So in the amazing chair he goes. Let's move on to another one. Marlon Vera, straight into Giga Chad. Listen, I don't like Marlon Vera because his fighting style makes me want to bang my head against the wall, but there's no doubt that this guy has one of the most insane chins we've ever seen. This guy's literally a Terminator, and if he had any fight IQ, he'd be one of the best fighters ever in the Bantamweight division, but he just doesn't have any fight IQ, and he fights like he's scared, despite having one of the best chins in UFC history. Listen, Marlon Vera's never been dropped. I think he was temporarily sat down by Figueiredo, so maybe he has been dropped. But outside of that, dude, this guy's never been finished, never been knocked out. Absolute insane Giga Chad chin. Marlon Vera. He's got to be good for something because he's not good for the top 5, so I might as well give him a good chin. Respect to Marlon Vera. I just wish he would fight better, dude. That sounds casual, but still. Let's move on to the next one. We got Ilia Taptoro. I'm putting in the amazing chin tier. Listen, Ilia took one of the most flush head kicks I've ever seen in UFC history by Jai Herbert. Literally flush. Like, that would have knocked out 99.9% of humans. Ilia ate it, got up, and came back to KO him. So I got to put Ilia in the amazing chin. Outside of that, he's never really been touched much. So got to put Ilia in the amazing chins here just because this dude's eating flush head kicks and getting back up and coming back to KO the guy. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that, him being over Dricus, but listen, I just feel like Dricus has that Looney Tunes chin, bro. It's going to get cracked either way. Let's move on to another one. We got Brian Ortega. I'm putting in the meh chin. Listen, Brian Ortega used to have one of the best chins in the UFC. Whenever he fought Max Holloway, he took a ton of punishment. When he fought Volk, he took a ton of punishment. This guy's been beat up and beat down a bunch of times. Diego Lopez recently beat his ass and gave him a bunch of punishment, knocked him down one time and woke him back up in the same fight. So he's not the same guy he used to be. I think Yair might have knocked him down too. So Brian Ortega has moved his way down from amazing chin to meh chin. You know, he's still got a good chin, one of the best in the UFC, but, you know, as he's getting older, it's the time's ticking for an Ortega. Who knows how long that chin's going to continue to hold up. Either way, let's move on to another one. We got my boy Rob Whittaker. Got to throw Rob Whittaker straight in the chinny tier. Listen, I love Robert Whittaker, but there's no doubt that the Australian bomb, the Bobby Knuckles, the Reaper, he is absolutely chinny. This guy, Augusta win, and he does the chicken dance, as Conor McGregor would say. He's been knocked out by Izzy and knocked down by him. He's been knocked down by Dricus du Plessis. I think Darren Till dropped him with an elbow. So, yeah, Robert Whittaker, notoriously chinny. I think he was cracked by Jared Cannon near the end of his fight and went on chicken legs. So, love you, Rob, but you're a little chinny, my guy. So, we got to have you in the chinny chin tier. Either way, let's move on to Khamzat Chimaev. I'm putting Khamzat in the good chin. Good chin whenever he fought Gilbert Burns. I think he was knocked down one time. He's shown, you don't really get to see how good Khamzat's chin is outside the Burns fight. Maybe in the Kamaru Usman fight too, because he just typically ragdolls guys and submits them in the first round. But listen, I can't say Khamzat has an amazing or Giga Chad chin because he's been dropped by a smaller fighter in Gilbert Burns. And it's like, what happens if this guy takes a massive bomb from Dricus? Does he go down, you know? So I got to put Khamzat in good chin. Still a really great chin, but untested for the most part, just because how dominant he is. Let's move on to another fighter on this list. We got Volkanovski. I'm adding Volkanovski in the chinny tier as well. He joins his boy Rob in Australia in the chinny tier. Listen, I love Volkanovski, but let's not pretend like he wasn't dropped twice by Max in their rematch. And he was dropped back in the day by Chad Mendez, a bit chinny. He was knocked out by Volk, KO'd by Topuria. Volk is notoriously been chinny. He's never had the best or most incredible chin, so got to put him in that chinny tier. But Volk is the pound-for-pound best cook in the UFC, so there is something to be said about that. Either way, let's move on. We got Shavkat, Rock My Nuts. We're going to put him in the amazing chin tier. I think there's a clip of Shavkat before his UFC career, and this guy got absolutely cracked and nearly finished, but came back to survive. And in the UFC, I don't think he's been knocked down or even close to being knocked down. And even fighting against Ian Gary, I don't think he was knocked down because Ian Gary ain't got no pop. But Shavkat Rakhmonov definitely going to be going in the amazing chin tier because, you know, this dude he's just built different. Horse meat builds your chin different, boys. He ain't got that Uriah Faber booty chin. He got that I'm from Kazakhstan, eat horse meat chin. So you already know he's going in amazing. Maybe he could work his way up to Giga Chad if he takes some more bombs. Who knows? Let's move on to another fighter. Speaking of bombs, the best chin in the UFC, arguably in UFC history, Marvin Vettori. This guy's fighting at 185. He's been taking hammers forever from guys like Jared Cannonier, from guys like Robert Whitaker, just from some of the biggest punchers. Paulo Costa, I know he doesn't have great power, but still. Middleweight, Marvin Vettori, he's just a Giga Chad. This dude has one of the most insane chins ever. Like, his chin has to be made of, like, titanium or, like, machinery. I don't know what other way to put it. Marvin Vettori, you could literally hit this guy's chin with a bulldozer and he'd be like, huh, that's all you got? But yeah, Giga Chad chin from Marvin Vettori, easily the best chin in UFC history. And the next one hurts, guys. This one hurts. And you guys know why. Max Holloway. I'm putting in the amazing chin tier. At one time, right before the Topuria fight, you could argue that Max Holloway had one of, if not the best chins of all time. It finally got cracked by Ilia Topuria. If anybody was going to crack his chin, it would be Ilia Topuria. Max Holloway, the most strikes absorbed in UFC history, and Ilia Topuria was the one to crack his chin. I'm not going to put him down to good, meh, or chinny, obviously. He still has an amazing chin just because he gets knocked out once and he's have as many wars as he has. I still have to put Max in the amazing chin tier, but it hurts my soul to say this guy's not a Giga Chad chin anymore, man. That was what I was holding on to Max Holloway. You know, he couldn't hold on to the belt, but he held on to his chin, and now that's gone. But either way, I think his chin will hold up decently at lightweight. We'll find out, I guess. We're going to find out Saturday night, brother, so tune in. Either way, let's go on to the next one. Merab Dvalishvili, I'm throwing in a good chin. Merab has a good chin. Not amazing, not anything crazy. He has a good chin. He's been dropped by Cejudo and by Marlon Moraes, if I'm not mistaken, dropped him. So little goblin midget Merab can go in good chin. If you're getting dropped by little 35ers, you know, your chin might not be the best. Either way, let's move on to another chinny fighter, Michael Chandler. This guy's got the chinny chin of the year, and he's got low fight IQ. Listen, it feels like Michael Chandler gets dropped. It seems like sometimes he has an amazing chin, and at other times he gets dropped. So that is the definition of chinny, just inconsistent chin. His chin works sometimes, other times it's like, nah, you're going down. So low IQ Mike got to go in the chinny tier. What else is there to say? Let's move on to another one. We got Calvin Kattar. I'm going to put in the good chin. Listen, Calvin Kattar, I don't think he's been dropped in the UFC, so actually I'll put him in amazing chin. Calvin Kattar, an amazing chin. This guy took like 500-some strikes off of Max Holloway, never went down one time. He's fought some pretty big hitters and scary guys in the division. I don't think he's ever been knocked down. Obviously, he's never been KO'd, I don't think. He's been outworked, and he's been won by decision, but I don't think he's ever been KO'd or TKO'd and never knocked down in the UFC. Fact check me on that. So I got to put my boy Calvin Kattar at the bottom of amazing chin. The fact that Max Holloway hit him with some of the most strikes in UFC history and he didn't go down is an attest to how crazy this guy's chin is. Either way, let's move on to Dan the Hooker, Hangman, whatever we call him. We're going to put Dan Hooker in the med chin. Dan Hooker has an okay chin, you know? It's nothing crazy. He's been KO to the body a couple times, but that has nothing to do with your chin, obviously. But I feel like Dan Hooker's been dropped a few times throughout his career. He was KO'd by Michael Chandler. He has a solid chin. Against Dustin Poirier, it showed it held up. Takes some absolute bombs off of Poirier in that war in 2020. So you got to give Dan Hooker some credit for his chin. He does have a rock-solid chin, but still got to put him in the med chin because, you know, he's been dropped and knocked down and knocked out before. So let's move on to another fighter on this list. We got John Jones. I guess I'm going to have to put him in Giga Chad chin because he's never been dropped and he's fought some of the heaviest hitters in UFC history. So John Jones fighting guys like old man Stipe, fighting guys like Cyril Gane at heavyweight, not the most power, fighting guys like Dominic Reyes, who was knocking out everybody, Anthony Smith, and Thiago Santos, a knockout artist. Rashad Evans back in the day had knockout power. Daniel Cormier shown to have knockout power to some degree. So he's fought some heavy hitters, and he's never been dropped, I don't think. I think he was sat down for a second against Dominic Reyes, but that was like a chest shot. So John Jones, got to put him at the bottom of Giga Chad Chin, because although having a Giga Chad Chin, John Jones is the opposite of a Giga Chad guy. So Marvin Vettori, Marlon Vera definitely are way ahead of him in the Giga Chad Chins here, but John Jones at the bottom of Giga Chad. Let's move on to another one. We got Justin Gaethje. I am putting in the chinny tier list. Listen, Justin Gaethje at one point had one of the best chins, but with this guy's fight style, he was on his way to being Looney Tunes into having no chin. He was KO'd by Eddie Alvarez first, and then Dustin Poirier came back to KO him. Then he was KO'd by Justin Gaethje. This guy's been wobbled, cobbled, and KO'd all around the octagon by a bunch of different guys. He used to have a great chin. Now I'd say he's chinny these days. And yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, boys. Let's move on to another amazing chin. Listen, people are going to hate it. I'm putting Paddy Pimblett in the amazing chin tier. Listen, Paddy the Blatty. What the fuck you talking about, lad? Paddy the Batty in the amazing chin. Listen, a lot of Paddy haters out there are going to disagree, but I don't think this guy's been dropped in the UFC. He's took some big bombs by different fighters. He's fought heavy punchers like a Bobby Green, who's shown to be able to knock guys out. You know, he fought the GOAT, Tony Ferguson, and he never got knocked down. No, I'm joking. But listen, Paddy Pimblett has a good chin. He just looks like he's built to have a good chin. I know he looks like a freaking little dork that you could stuff in a locker, but he still looks like he has a solid chin. So I got to put him in the amazing chin tier because he's never been dropped in the UFC, and he's taken some pretty good bombs. Last but not least, we got Corey Sandhagen. I'm putting in the good chin. I think he was dropped by Petr Yan, and that's it in his UFC career. But I don't know, man. Corey, he looks like a little dork. I feel like I could flick this guy in the ear and he'd go down. I can't put him in amazing chin. But this is the chin tier list, guys. The best chins in the UFC, and threw some chinny fighters in there just to make it interesting. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Tried to keep it lighthearted and throw some jokes in there. All these fighters, for the most part, outside the chinny tier list, have really good chins, more or less. But the best chin in the UFC by far has got to be Marvin Giga Chad Chin Vettori. This guy literally is made of brick. His head is made of titanium. Not sure what else to say about it. But that's the end of the tier list, guys. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like and a subscription on the channel. I post daily MMA content. I also do daily streams. And yeah, drop a like on the video. I'm out, guys. Peace.